What if everything that was meant to destroy you has actually been guarding you this whole time? Do not answer that too quickly. Sit with it for just a moment, because the answer to that question is going to change the way you see every hard year, every closed door, every person who walked away, and every season that felt like it was burying you alive. There is something happening in your life that most people around you cannot see. And the reason they cannot see it is not because it is hidden from the world. It is because it was never meant for them. It was meant for you. And today, right here in this moment, something is shifting in a way that cannot be undone. Beloved and chosen one, I need you to hear this. From the outside, your life may look like someone who is holding it together. You show up, you manage, you smile when it is required, and you keep moving when everything inside you wants to stop. People look at you and they see someone who is fine, someone who is coping, someone who has figured out how to carry the weight without letting it show. But from the inside, you know the truth. From the inside, there is a pressure that never fully lifts. There is a knowing that sits deep in your chest, a sense that you were made for something far beyond what your current circumstances are reflecting back at you. And late at night, when the noise of the day finally goes quiet, that knowing gets louder. Not quieter, louder. That contrast, the gap between what your life looks like on the outside and what it feels like on the inside, that is not a sign that something is wrong with you. That is one of the clearest signs that you are chosen. And I do not use that word lightly. I am not using it to make you feel better about a hard season. I am using it because it is the most accurate word for what you are and what you carry. The chosen ones are not the ones who have everything figured out. They are not the ones whose path has been smooth and whose relationships have been easy and whose doors have opened on the first knock. The chosen ones are the ones who have been through things that should have broken them and came out the other side still standing, still believing, still here. And if that is you, then this message was assembled for you long before you found it. There are specific signs that mark a chosen one in a season like this one, and I want to name them for you because no one else has. The first sign is that your dreams have been getting clearer, not more chaotic, but clearer, more vivid, more directional. As if something is trying to show you something while your defenses are down and your mind is finally still enough to receive it. The second sign is that you have been feeling a frustration that you cannot fully explain to the people around. Not anger exactly, but a deep and aching restlessness, a sense that you are sitting in a waiting room for a life that you know belongs to you, and the wait has gone on far longer than it should have. The third sign is that people who were once close to you have been pulling away, or you have been feeling a distance open up in relationships that once felt solid. And even though it hurts, there is a quiet part of you that understands it is necessary. The fourth sign is that you keep encountering the same message in different places, a word from a stranger, a line in a song, a verse that finds you at exactly the right moment, as if something is trying to reach you from every possible direction to make sure the message lands. And the fifth sign is this: you are here, right now, listening to this. When you could have stopped and scrolled past, you stayed. And chosen ones do not stumble into their assignments by accident. I want to say something to you that you may not have heard before, and I want you to really receive it. The forces that have come against you in this season were not proof that you are forgotten. They were proof that you are anointed. Ordinary lives do not attract extraordinary opposition. If the enemy of your soul has been working overtime to discourage you, to distort your identity, to surround you with doubt and delay and disappointment, it is because he knows what is inside you, and more than that, He knows what is coming. And here is what is almost impossible to believe until you see it clearly. When something is so anointed, so divinely protected, so locked into a heavenly assignment that it cannot be destroyed, even the forces that oppose it begin to function as a form of protection around it. The opposition that was sent to end you has been circling you like a garnable to touch the core of what God placed inside you, and without even knowing it, keeping lesser things away so that what is truly yours can reach you undisturbed. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not the exception to the promise. You are so anointed that what was meant to be your enemy has become, without its own permission, your unwilling protector. Every person who doubted you, every door that closed in your face, every season that felt like abandonment, none of it touched the assignment. None of it could, because what is sealed by heaven cannot be broken by earth. This is not the beginning of a new chapter for you. This is the moment you finally understand what every previous chapter was building. And the ones who wrote you off, the ones who counted you out, the ones who moved on and assumed you were finished, they are beginning to feel something they did not expect to feel. And that feeling has a name. It is called regret. Because they are starting to see what they missed when they turned their back on you. And what they missed is not a version of you that is still arriving. What they missed is already here. You have not been waiting for this moment. This moment has been waiting for you. There is something I want to do right now that most people in your life have never done for you. And that is simply to name what you are actually feeling. Not the version of it that is polite enough to say out loud, but the real version. The one that lives underneath the composed exterior that you show the world every single day. Because one of the loneliest things about being chosen is that the very depth of what you carry makes it almost impossible for the people around you to fully understand what you are going through. And so you have learned to translate yourself into smaller, more manageable versions just to be understood. And even then, you are only partially seen. So let me name it for you today. Let me be the voice that says the thing out loud. There are 4 experiences that people in your exact season will recognize immediately. And I want to walk through each one slowly, because each one matters and each one is a sign, not of failure, but of positioning. The first is a wave of sadness about the past that arrives without warning. You are not a person who lives in the past. You are not someone who dwells or wallows. But lately, there have been moments, sometimes in the middle of an ordinary afternoon or right before you fall asleep, when a grief rises up inside you that feels old and specific. It is grief about time, about years that passed while you were waiting, about versions of your life that you imagined and that did not happen, about a younger version of yourself who believed so fully and has been waiting so long. That sadness is not weakness. It is not a sign that your faith has failed. It is the honest emotional weight of a long season, and it deserves to be acknowledged before it is reframed. You are allowed to feel that. You are allowed to grieve the years without it meaning that you have given up on what is coming. The second experience is that familiar places and familiar people have started to feel heavy and strange. Places you have always gone, people you have always known, routines that once felt comfortable. They all carry a kind of weight now that you cannot explain. It is as if you have outgrown something, but you are still standing inside it. And the discomfort of that mismatch is becoming harder to ignore. You might have wondered if something is wrong with you, if you have become difficult or ungrateful or disconnected. But nothing is wrong with you. What is happening is that you are being prepared for a different environment, and the one you are currently in no longer fits the size of what you are becoming. The discomfort is not dysfunction. It is direction. The third experience is a recurring dream or a repeated image of a door that has not yet opened. It might be literal in your dreams, an actual door that you stand before but never walk through. Or it might appear as a feeling, a sense that you are standing on the edge of something, that there is a threshold just ahead of you that you have not yet crossed. You have been standing near that door for what feels like a very long time, and the waiting has not been easy. But I want you to understand something about that door. It has not been closed because you are not ready. It has been closed because the timing of its opening is not yours to control, and what is on the other side of it is being prepared with the same care and intention that you yourself have been prepared with. The fourth experience is that the same message keeps finding you from different directions. A phrase someone says to you in passing, a song that plays at exactly the right moment, a verse that appears when you were not looking for it, a video like this one that you almost scrolled past but something made you stay. This is not coincidence. This is not your mind looking for patterns. This is communication. Something is trying to reach you through every available channel, and the message is always some variation of the same core truth. You are seen, you are held, and what is yours is still coming. Now I want to speak to something more specific. I want to speak to the insomnia, because I know some of you are not sleeping well, and you have not been for a while. The nights are long, and the mind will not be still. And you cycle through the same thoughts at 2 in the morning, with no resolution and no relief. I want to speak to the loneliness, not the kind that comes from being physically alone, but the deeper kind. The kind that can exist in a full room. The kind that comes from feeling like no one around you quite speaks your language or understands the weight of what you are carrying. I want to speak to the feeling of being wronged, of having given your best to people and situations that did not honor what you brought, of having been overlooked by people who later benefited from what you contributed. And I want to speak to the feeling of being misunderstood, of having your motives questioned, your character doubted, your silence mistaken for weakness, and your patience mistaken for having nothing to say. These are not small things, and I am not going to rush past them to get to the encouragement, because the encouragement only lands properly when the pain has been fully seen first. So, I am seeing it, I am naming it, and I am telling you that every single one of those experiences is real, valid, and understood. Now I want to offer you a reframe, not to erase the pain, but to sit alongside it and show you something you may not have been able to see from inside it. What if waiting is not the punishment you have been experiencing it as? What if the season you are in right now is not evidence that you have been forgotten or passed over or placed at the back of the line? What if the waiting itself is a form of positioning, of being placed exactly where you need to be so that what is coming can find you, recognize you, and connect with you in a way that's permanent and unshakable? There is a difference between being overlooked and being positioned, and I want you to feel that difference clearly. Being overlooked means you were seen and deemed not enough. Being positioned means you were placed with intention in a location that looks empty from the outside, but is in fact the exact coordinate where your next chapter begins. The chosen ones are almost never in the most visible room. They are almost always in the room that looks like a waiting room, but is actually a preparation room. And the people who walked past you, who did not choose you, who moved on to what looked more promising, they did not overlook you because you were lacking. They overlooked you because they were not meant to be the ones who recognize you. The one who is meant to recognize you will not be able to miss you. That is the nature of divine connection. It does not require you to perform or convince or shrink yourself to fit. It simply sees you, the whole of you, and says yes. You are not abandoned. You are protected. You are not at the back of the line. You are being positioned at the front of the right line. And the season that has felt like punishment has in fact been the preparation that made you ready for what ordinary waiting could never have produced in you. If you recognize yourself in any of what I have named today, if any part of this has touched something that you have been carrying quietly and alone, I want you to type the words "I see it" in the comments right now, not for me. For yourself, as an act of acknowledgement that you are here, you are seen, and you are ready to receive what is coming. And if this message has already brought something to the surface for you, if it has named something that needed to be named, please take a moment to share it with someone who needs to hear it too. You never know whose 2 in the morning this message might reach. Like this video so that it finds more people who are carrying what you are carrying. Subscribe so that the next word finds you when you need it most. And if you feel led to support this work financially, there is a way to do that. And every contribution goes directly toward making sure these messages reach more chosen ones who are waking up to their season without anyone to name it for them. Your generosity is not just a gift to this channel. It is a gift to every person this message will reach because of you. Now I want to give you something practical to hold on to, because one of the hardest things about a season like the one you are in is that it can feel like there is nothing you can do, like you are simply waiting for something outside of yourself to move, to open, to arrive. And all you can do is sit with your hands open and your heart hoping. And while there is a kind of holy surrender in that posture, I also know that the chosen ones are not passive people. You are a person who wants to participate in your own becoming. You want to do something. You want to take a step, make a move, cooperate with what is being built inside you. And so today I want to give you a specific practice, a protocol that you can use starting today, not someday, not when things get better, but right now, in the middle of whatever your life looks like in this exact moment. This practice does not require a quiet room, though quiet helps. It does not require a particular time of day, though the morning and the last hour before sleep carry their own particular power. It does not require any special equipment or any previous experience with meditation or prayer or breathwork. It only requires you, your willingness, and 7 minutes. And I chose 7 minutes not arbitrarily, but because of something I want to explain to you in a moment that has to do with the way your brain actually functions when it is in a state of receptivity, a state that the chosen ones are uniquely wired to access, but that most people never deliberately activate. We will come back to the science of that in the next part of this message. For now, I want to walk you through the 3 steps of the practice itself, and I want you to understand each step not just as an instruction, but as a posture of the soul. The tool I am giving you today is called the threshold practice. I am calling it that because it is designed to bring you to the edge of what is next, to place you at the threshold of your next season with your eyes open and your spirit awake, and your mind clear enough to receive what has been trying to reach you. The threshold is the place between what was and what is coming. Most people spend their entire lives either looking backward at what has been or straining forward at what is not yet here. The threshold practice brings you to the exact middle point, the place of presence, where the past and the future both inform the now without controlling it. This is the place where chosen ones receive their clearest direction, their deepest peace, and their most powerful breakthroughs. Step 1 is this: remember something you are grateful for that did not happen. I want you to pause on that for a moment. Because most gratitude practices ask you to think about the good things that came into your life. But there is a deeper level of gratitude that most people never access. And it is the gratitude for the things that were withheld, the relationships that did not work out, the opportunities that closed before you could walk through them, the doors that stayed shut no matter how hard you knocked, the plans that fell apart, the versions of your future that you grieved and eventually released. I want you to bring one of those to mind right now. Just one. Something that you wanted, that you believed was yours, that did not happen. And instead of approaching it with the familiar ache of loss, I want you to approach it with a question. The question is simply this: what did that closed door protect me from? And what did it make room for? May not have the old yet. That is fine. The practice is not about having the answer. It is about standing in the posture of trust that says, even the things I did not receive were working on my behalf. Even the no was a form of care. Even the closed door was a form of direction. When you can hold that posture genuinely, even briefly, something shifts in your nervous system. The body stops bracing for the next disappointment. The mind stops running its calculations of what you have lost, and for a moment, you become open in a way that is very rare and very powerful. That openness is not naive. It is not denial. It is the result of having processed enough pain to arrive at a place of genuine trust. And genuine trust is one of the most spiritually potent states a human being can inhabit. So step one is to bring that one thing to mind. Hold it gently, ask the question, and release the need for an immediate answer. Let the gratitude be an act of faith rather than an act of certainty. You are thanking something you cannot fully see yet. That is what makes it powerful. Step two is to make a statement that connects your present moment to the truth of sacred time. Now I know that language might sound abstract, so let me make it concrete. Sacred time is the understanding that not everything operates on a human schedule. There is a kind of time that moves according to readiness rather than calendar. There is a kind of timing that is not late by the world's measurement, but is in fact perfectly placed by a higher measurement. And the statement you are going to make in step two is your personal declaration of alignment with that understanding. It is a sentence you speak out loud, not in your head, but with your actual voice. Because there is something that happens when the body produces sound around a truth that does not happen when the truth only exists in thought. The statement you will make is this, and I want you to say it in your own voice as you read it. What is mine cannot be taken from me, and it is arriving in the time that is right for it, not the time that I planned for it. Say that again if you need to. Let your voice carry it. Let your body hear it. Because your body has been holding a lot of fear about timing, about being too late, about having missed the window, about whether the promise still applies to you after all this time. And this statement is not a magic formula. It is not a performance of positivity. It is a deliberate reorientation of your inner posture from fear-based waiting to faith-based positioning. It is you telling your nervous system, your subconscious mind, and the spiritual atmosphere around you that you are no longer operating from scarcity and panic, but from the settled confidence of someone who knows that what belongs to is held in trust and cannot be assigned to anyone else. This statement matters because the way you hold yourself internally during a season of waiting determines what you are able to recognize when the season shifts. If you are contracted with fear, you will miss the signs of arrival. If you are open with trust, you will see them clearly. Step two is the practice of staying open. It is the practice of keeping your inner posture aligned with what you believe, even when your outer circumstances have not yet caught up. Step 3 is 7 minutes of silent, deliberate stillness, and I want to explain exactly what this means and what it does, because I do not want you to confuse it with emptying your mind or achieving some advanced meditative state that requires years of practice. 7 minutes of silent, deliberate stillness simply means that after steps 1 and 2, you sit or lie or stand in a position that feels natural to your body. You close your eyes and you let your mind be present without directing it. You are not trying to think about anything specific. You are not trying to stop your thoughts. You are not trying to achieve anything. You are simply making yourself available. You are setting aside 7 minutes to be in a state of receptivity rather than activity. And what happens in that state, what becomes possible in that state, is something that science has only recently begun to fully understand and document. And it is something that the chosen ones have been accessing intuitively for centuries without having the language to explain it. In those 7 minutes, your brain begins to shift its dominant frequency. It moves away from the beta state, which is the state of active, goal-directed thinking, problem-solving, and stress response, and it begins to drop into a lower, slower frequency that is associated with creativity, intuition, deep memory consolidation, and what researchers describe as expanded awareness. This is the state where insights arrive. This is the state where the solution to a problem you have been wrestling with for weeks suddenly becomes obvious. This is the state where you hear the quiet voice that has been trying to reach you through all the noise. This is the state where chosen ones receive their clearest downloads, their most vivid impressions, and their most directional sense of what is next. 7 minutes is not a random number. It is the approximate threshold time that the brain needs to begin that transition when approached with the right preceding conditions, which is exactly what steps 1 and 2 create. Step 1 softens the emotional body. Step 2 realigns the inner posture. And step 3 gives the brain the space and the time to shift into the frequency where revelation becomes accessible. Together, the 3 steps function as a preparation protocol for receiving what has already been assigned to you, but that you have not yet been still enough or open enough to take hold of. I want you to try this today, not tomorrow, not when things calm down. Today, in the middle of whatever is happening around you, I want you to find 10 minutes, because steps 1 and 2 together will take approximately 3 minutes, and step 3 is 7 minutes. And I want you to do this practice and notice what happens. Do not come in with high expectations, and do not come in with skepticism. Come in with simple, honest openness. That is all this practice requires. And if you do it consistently, if you make the threshold practice a daily discipline, you will begin to notice things shifting. Not in dramatic, overnight ways necessarily, but in small, accumulating, undeniable ways. The pressure will lift a little. The clarity will come a little faster. The signs will become easier to read. And the sense that something is moving, that the season is turning, that what has been waiting is now arriving, that sense will grow stronger and more specific with every day that you show up and practice. There is one more thing I want you to know about step 3, about those 7 minutes of stillness, before we move into the next part of this message. What happens in those 7 minutes is not just psychological. It is not just the result of relaxation and stress reduction, though both of those things are real and valuable. What happens in those 7 minutes is that you are making yourself available at the level of your deepest frequency to receive what heaven has been trying to transmit to you through all the noise of your daily life. You are tuning yourself. You are clearing the static. You are becoming, for 7 minutes, A person who is fully present and fully open and fully available for whatever needs to reach you. And in the next section of this message, I want to take you deeper into why those 7 minutes work the way they do. Because there is a body of scientific research that confirms what the chosen ones have always known intuitively, and understanding that research is going to change the way you think about your own brain, your own capacity, and your own access to the kind of thinking that produces extraordinary results in ordinary lives. The science of what happens inside your brain during those 7 minutes is not separate from the spiritual truth of who you are. It is the confirmation of it, and I cannot wait to show it to you. What I am about to share with you is the part of this message that connects everything you have been feeling spiritually to something that researchers have been studying in laboratories for decades. And when you hear it, I believe something is going to click into place for you in a way that nothing has before. Because one of the most isolating parts of being chosen is that the things you experience internally, the heightened sensitivity, the deep knowing, the sense that you are operating on a different frequency than the people around you, these things are often dismissed as imagination or emotion or wishful thinking. But they are not. They are measurable. They are real. And science is finally catching up to what heaven has always known about you. Here is what the researchers found, and I want you to hear this carefully. The chosen ones, the people who carry a divine assignment, the people who have been set apart for something significant, they do not just feel different. They actually operate at a different neurological frequency, and that frequency has a name. Researchers call it gamma brainwave activity, which operates at the highest end of the measurable brainwave spectrum, has been consistently associated in peer-reviewed neuroscience research with states of heightened awareness, accelerated learning, peak cognitive performance, and what scientists describe as binding, which is the brain's ability to integrate information from multiple sources simultaneously to produce insights that feel sudden and complete. Ordinary thinking does not produce gamma. Grinding harder does not produce gamma. Stress and striving and overthinking actively suppress gamma. But the state that chosen ones are being prepared for, the state of clear knowing, deep trust, expanded perception, and effortless alignment, that state is gamma. And the 7 minutes of stillness I described in the previous part of this message is one of the most direct pathways into it. But before gamma, there is theta. And theta is where the story of this particular discovery begins. Theta brainwaves operate at a frequency of between 4 and 8 cycles per second, and they are associated with the brain states of deep creativity, intuitive knowing, emotional processing, vivid dreaming, and what researchers describe as the hypnagogic state, the threshold between waking and sleep, where the mind becomes unusually receptive and generative. Here is what is remarkable about theta. Children spend a significant portion of their waking hours in theta. It is the dominant frequency of the young brain, the brain that learns languages effortlessly, absorbs information without resistance, imagines without limitation, and moves through the world with a quality of open wonder that most adults have lost access to. And the people who have retained or recovered access to theta as adults, the artists, the innovators, the spiritual leaders, the ones who seem to operate with intuitive grace that others cannot replicate, no matter how hard they try, these are the people who have, deliberately or naturally, maintained a connection to that frequency that the pressures and conditioning of adult life typically shut down. Now, here is the bridge between the spiritual and the scientific that I want you to hold on to. The chosen ones, the ones who have been set apart, who have been through the wilderness, who have carried a knowing that they could not always explain or justify. These people are not simply spiritually gifted in some vague, unquantifiable way. They are neurologically primed for access to the frequencies that produce extraordinary results. The very experiences that have shaped you in this waiting season, the grief, the stripping away, the deep solitude, the nights of wrestling, these experiences, as painful as they have been doing something to your brain that most comfortable, undisturbed lives never produce. They have been creating the conditions for a depth of theta and gamma access that is genuinely rare. You have been being prepared not just spiritually, but neurologically for what is next. Your brain, in other words, is part of your anointing, and the man who helped bring the science of this into a form that ordinary people could access and benefit from is a neuroscientist named Dr. James Rivers. Dr. Rivers is a MIT-trained researcher who has spent more than 30 years studying the relationship between brainwave frequencies and human potential. His work has included collaborations with NASA-affiliated research programs, studying the cognitive performance of individuals operating under extreme conditions. And what he found in those studies confirmed something that he had been observing for years in his own research. The individuals who performed at the highest levels, who maintained clarity and creativity and decision-making capacity under conditions that degraded the performance of almost everyone else, were not simply smarter or more disciplined. They were operating at different brainwave frequencies. Specifically, they were able to access theta and gamma states more readily, more deeply, and more consistently than their peers. And when Dr. Rivers began asking why, the answer led him into one of the most significant discoveries of his career. He found that the brain can be guided into these states through specific patterns of sound. This is not a new idea in principle. Cultures around the world have used rhythm, chant, music, and tonal patterns for thousands of years to produce altered states of consciousness for the purposes of healing, worship, creativity, and spiritual encounter. But what Dr. Rivers and his research team were able to do was to identify the precise acoustic parameters that most effectively and consistently guide the brain into theta and then into gamma, and to encode those parameters into a form of audio that any person, regardless of meditation experience or spiritual background or cognitive training, could use to access those states within a matter of minutes. The result of more than 30 years of research, thousands of hours of testing, and a body of documented results that spans tens of thousands of individuals, is a 7-minute audio program called The Genius Wave. The mechanism is elegant in its simplicity. When you listen to the Genius Wave through headphones, the audio delivers specific tonal frequencies to each ear independently. Your brain, in processing the slight difference between the two frequencies, naturally produces a third frequency internally, and that internally produced frequency is precisely calibrated to guide your brainwave activity from its default beta state into theta and then into gamma. This process is called brainwave entrainment, and it is one of the most well-documented phenomena in neurological research. The brain is a frequency-following organ. It synchronizes with the dominant frequencies in its environment, and the Genius Wave uses that natural tendency deliberately and precisely to bring you into the exact neurological state where your highest capacities become available to you, where clarity comes easily, where creativity flows without effort, where the knowing that has always been inside you can finally be heard above the noise. 7 minutes is not a shortcut. It is the result of 30 years of research, identifying the minimum effective dose of this specific acoustic protocol for producing measurable brainwave changes. More than 7 minutes does not necessarily produce better results. Less than 7 minutes does not reliably produce the shift. 7 minutes, with this specific audio, is the threshold. And I want you to think back to the threshold practice I described in part 3, because the 7 minutes of stillness in step 3 of that practice is not unrelated to this. The physical posture of stillness that the practice creates makes you more receptive to exactly the kind of neurological shift that the genius wave is designed to produce. Together, the practice and the audio are not two separate things. They are two parts of the same preparation. Now, I want to tell you about someone. I am going to change some details to protect her privacy, but the story is real and the results are documented. Her name was Sandra, and she came to the genius wave after what she described as 5 years of feeling like she was standing at a door that would not open. She had done everything right, or so she thought. She had worked hard, she had prayed. She had stayed faithful in a season that gave her very little external confirmation that her faithfulness was being noticed. She was not in crisis exactly, but she was in that particular kind of exhaustion that comes from sustained effort with minimal visible return. She started using the genius wave every morning, 7 minutes, before anything else. Within the first 2 weeks, she noticed that her thinking was clearer. Within a month, she told Dr. Rivers directly that she had experienced what she could only describe as a complete shift in her inner orientation. She stopped feeling like someone who was waiting for her life to begin and started feeling like someone who was already living in the season she had been praying for. 3 months later, she received 2 professional opportunities in the same week, opportunities that she had been pursuing without success for years, and she was equipped to recognize them, receive them, and respond to them with a clarity and a confidence that she attributed directly to the state that her daily 7-minute practice had been cultivating in her brain. Sandra is not unusual among the people who have used the genius wave. More than 19,000 people have now used this audio program, and the documented rate of people who have asked for their money back is under 4%. That means that more than 96% of the people who have tried it have found it valuable enough to keep. That is not a marketing number. That is a statement about what happens when the right tool meets the right person at the right time. I know that some of you are sitting with a question right now, and I want to address it directly because I respect you enough to name it. The question is $39 worth it? And I want to say first that the fact that you are asking that question is completely valid. $39 is not nothing. It represents a real decision for many people, and I do not want to be glib about that. But I want to offer you a reframe, not to pressure you, but to give you the full picture. The question is not really whether $39 is worth it in the abstract. The question is, what is the value of having access every single day for the rest of your life to a 7-minute practice that consistently brings your brain into the state where your highest clarity, your deepest creativity, your most powerful knowing, and your most aligned decision-making all become available to you? The question is, what is the value of that, especially in a season where clarity is the thing you need most? The regular price of the Genius Wave is $49, but through the link in the pinned comment below this video, you can access it today for $39. That reduced price is available for a limited time, and I cannot guarantee how long it will remain at that level. When you purchase through that link, you are also covered by a full 90-day money-back guarantee. 90 days. That is more than 3 months of daily practice, which is more than enough time to know with complete certainty whether this is working for you. If at any point in those 90 days you feel that the Genius Wave has not delivered what it promised, you can request a full refund and receive it without question. The risk is entirely on the side of the product, not on your side. One thing I want to be clear about, because there are imitation products that have appeared using similar language and similar claims. The only legitimate source for the Genius Wave is the single link in the pinned comment below this video. Do not purchase from any other source. Do not search for it elsewhere and assume that what you find is the same product. The specific acoustic calibration that makes the Genius Wave effective is proprietary to Dr. Rivers's research, and imitations will not produce the same results. The pinned comment link is the only safe and verified source. The window for the $39 price is limited. The number of units available at this price point is not unlimited, and when that threshold is reached, the price returns to $49. I am not telling you this to create artificial urgency. I am telling you this because I would rather you have the information and make a clear decision than discover later that the window had closed while you were still deciding. The Genius Wave is waiting for you in the pinned comment, and the chosen one who has been doing the inner work, the one who has been faithful through the long season, the one who is standing at the threshold of what is next, deserves every tool available to them for the crossing. Before we move any further, I need to stay here with you for a moment, because what I am about to say is something that the previous section does not cover, and it is something that I believe you need to hear more than you need another reason to be hopeful right now. I want to talk about what has actually been taken from you, not in a way that is designed to make you feel worse, but in a way that honors the full truth of what this season has cost, because I have found that the chosen ones are often the first to minimize their own losses, to rush past their own pain in the direction of faith, to skip the grief because they do not want to seem ungrateful or faithless or stuck. And in doing so, they carry a weight that never gets fully named, and a weight that is never named is a weight that is never fully released. So I am going to name it today, and I am going to ask you to let yourself feel it, not forever, but right now in this moment, fully and without apology. The years of waiting have taken things from you, real things, concrete, irretrievable things that mattered and that deserve to be different. And the fact that something good is coming does not erase the reality of what was lost along the way. Both things can be true at the same time. The promise can be real, and the loss can also be real. And the person who is walking into their next season carrying unacknowledged grief is not fully free to receive what is waiting for them. So let us sit here together and let it be named. The first thing that was taken from you is time in relationships that could have been built. There are connections you could have made, friendships that could have deepened, love that could have grown in a different season if the circumstances had been different. There are people you held at arm's length because you were too exhausted or too guarded or too uncertain about your own future to invest fully in the present. There are people who reached toward you and you did not have enough left over to reach back. And there are people who might have stayed if the season had not been so heavy, so isolating, so consuming in its demands on every part of you. You have spent years in a kind of relational scarcity, not because you are unlovable or incapable of deep connection, but because the weight of the season made it hard to be fully present even with the people who were right in front of you. That is a real loss, and it deserves to be named as one. The second thing that was taken from you is the career trajectory that could have looked different. There are opportunities you did not pursue because the timing felt wrong or the resources were not there. or the confidence had been worn down by too many consecutive disappointments. There are rooms you did not walk into because someone in your past had made you feel like you did not belong there. There are versions of your professional life, your creative output, your vocational expression that remained unlived, while you waited for conditions that never quite arrived. I am not saying that what is coming will not surpass all of that. I believe it will. But the years that passed while you were in the wilderness were years that contained their own specific opportunities, and the loss of those particular moments in time is real, even if what replaces them is greater. You are allowed to grieve the career you might have had without it meaning that you have given up on the career that is still coming. The third thing that was taken from you is the freedom to dream out loud. There was a time when you spoke about your vision without hesitation, when you could describe what you believed was coming for your life without immediately bracing for the skepticism or the dismissal or the quiet condescension of people who did not share your knowing. But somewhere along the way, the accumulated weight of unmet expectations and the quiet judgment of people who had moved on from believing in you taught you to keep your dreams private, to hold them close and quiet, to stop describing the future out loud because the gap between what you could see and what your current reality reflected had become a source of embarrassment rather than a source of hope. And so you learned to be guarded. You learned to speak in smaller, more manageable terms about your life and your future, even while inside you the vision remained as clear and as persistent as it had ever been. That guardedness was not cowardice. It was self-protection. But the cost of it was the silencing of one of the most powerful things about you, which is your ability to articulate a future that does not yet exist with a conviction that makes other people feel the reality of it before it arrives. The fourth thing that was taken from you is your faith in yourself. And this one is perhaps the most painful to name, because for the chosen ones, the loss of self-trust is particularly devastating. You came into this season with a deep knowing. You knew what you carried. You knew what you were capable of. You knew what you were called to. And then the years passed, and the doors stayed closed, and the people left, and the resources did not come, and the vision seemed further away rather than closer, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, the certainty began to erode. Not your faith in God necessarily, but your faith in yourself as the vessel. Your confidence that you were interpreting things correctly. Your trust that what you were hearing and feeling and seeing was real rather than self-delusion. The doubt did not arrive all at once. It crept in through the cracks left by repeated disappointment, and it made itself at home in the spaces where your confidence used to live. And that loss, the loss of the settled, unhesitating self-trust you once carried, is one of the most significant things this season has cost you. I am sitting with all of that with you right now. I am not rushing past it. I am not pivoting immediately to the silver lining or the redemptive narrative. I am just here, in the middle of the full weight of what has been taken, letting it be real and letting it be named and letting you feel it without the pressure to immediately reframe it into something more palatable. Because here is what I know about grief that is witnessed rather than bypassed. It moves. Grief that is seen and named and felt fully does not stay. It moves through the body and out the other side, and what it leaves behind is not emptiness but space. Space for something new to take up residence. Space for the trust to return. Space for the dreams to be spoken out loud again. Space for the relationships to deepen and the career to expand, and the self-faith to be rebuilt on a foundation that is stronger than the original, because it has been tested in ways that the original never was. You are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to acknowledge the cost. You are allowed to say out loud, even if only to yourself, that this season was hard in ways that should not be minimized or spiritualized away. The waiting has been real. The loss has been real. And the person who emerges from it is carrying something that only this specific path could have produced in them. I want to tell you about a man named Joseph. You may know his story, but I want to stay in the part of it that does not get talked about enough, the part before the vindication, the part that most people rush through on their way to the ending that makes the whole thing feel worth it. Joseph was a young man who had a dream, a clear, undeniable vision of his own future that was so real to him that he made the mistake of speaking it out loud to people who were not equipped to receive it. And the cost of that was devastating. His own brothers, the people who should have been his most committed supporters, sold him into slavery because they could not tolerate the size of what was inside him. And then he was enslaved in a foreign country, stripped of everything familiar, every relationship, every comfort, every cultural anchor, every shred of the life he had known. And then, just when it seemed like his situation was beginning to stabilize, just when he had found a way to be faithful and effective in his reduced circumstances, he was falsely accused and thrown into prison. He went from a dream of rulership to the bottom of a pit to slavery to a prison cell. The downward progression was not gradual. It was steep and it was relentless, and it went on for years. I want you to stay in that part of the story. Not because I want to dwell in darkness, but because I want you to feel the weight of what Joseph carried before the morning came. He did not know there was going to be a morning. From inside the prison cell, he had no guarantee that the dream was still operative, that the promise was still intact, that the years of loss were building towards something, rather than simply accumulating into a life that had been irreparably broken. He only had the dream itself, the original knowing, that stubborn, persistent, unreasonable conviction that he had been made for something that his current circumstances made look impossible. And he held on to it in the dark, not because it was easy, but because it was all he had, and because something inside him, that same thing that is inside you right now, would not let it go no matter how many reasons there were to release it. The loss was real for Joseph. The years were real. The prison was real. The betrayal was real. And the God who allowed all of it was the same God who had given him the dream. Both things were simultaneously true, and they are simultaneously true for you too. The loss is real, and the promise is also real. And you do not have to choose between grieving the one and holding on to the other. You can do both. In fact, you must do both if you want to walk into what is coming with your whole self intact, rather than a version of yourself that has bypassed its own pain. In order to appear more faithful than it actually feels, the waiting has cost you. And you are not wrong to feel the weight of that cost. And the one who designed your path has seen every single thing that was taken, every relationship, every year, every dream that went unspoken, every moment of self-doubt, every night of wrestling alone in the dark. None of it has gone unwitnessed. None of it has been wasted. And none of it, not one single thing that was taken, has been forgotten by the one who holds the account of your life with more care and more precision than you have ever been able to hold it yourself. The price you paid was real, and the return on that investment is going to be real in a way that is equally specific, equally concrete, and equally undeniable. The people who watched you pay that price and assumed it meant you were finished are beginning to understand something that they did not expect to understand. And we will get to that. But first, I want to give you a new way of seeing the time you have been in, because the language we use for a season shapes the way we experience it. And I believe that the ancient language I am about to introduce to you is going to change something fundamental about the way you understand what these years have actually been for. There is a language older than any language you have ever studied, a vocabulary that was being used to describe time and seasons and divine movement long before the modern world developed its calendars and its clocks and its obsession with productivity measured in days and weeks and quarterly earnings reports. And I want to introduce you to two words from that ancient vocabulary today, because I believe that the reason so many chosen ones suffer unnecessarily in their waiting seasons is not a lack of faith, and not a lack of effort, and not a lack of worthiness. It is a lack of language. When you do not have the right word for what you are experiencing, you default to the wrong word. And the wrong word for a sacred season can cost you years of unnecessary self-condemnation, unnecessary comparison, and unnecessary despair. So today I want to give you the right words. And I want you to feel what happens inside you when the language finally matches the reality. The first word I want to give you comes from the ancient Greek. The Greeks, unlike most modern cultures, had not one word for time but two. And the distinction between those two words is one of the most important distinctions that a chosen one in a season of waiting can possibly understand. The first Greek word for time is chronos. You will recognize the root of that word in English, words like chronological and chronicle and chronometer. Chronos is clock time. It is sequential time. It is the time that moves in a straight line from past to present to future, the time that is measured in seconds and minutes and hours and days and years. Chronos is the time that your alarm clock measures. It is the time that your calendar tracks. It is the time that feels like it is running out when you are in a long season of waiting. Chronos is the time that produces the comparison. She is 32 and already has the career. He is 35 and already has the family. I am this age and still waiting. Chronos is the time that makes delay feel like falling behind, that makes a long season feel like a punishment, that makes the waiting feel like evidence of something being wrong, rather than evidence of something being prepared. But the second Greek word for time is kairos. And kairos is something entirely different. Kairos is not sequential time. It is not clock time. It is not the time that can be measured by any instrument that human beings have ever built. Kairos is the right time, the appointed time, the time of ripeness, of fullness, of divine readiness. It is the moment when everything that needed to be in place is finally in place, when the person and the preparation and the opportunity and the environment all converge at a single point that could not have existed one day earlier and will not exist in exactly this configuration one day later. Kairos is the time that cannot be manufactured, cannot be rushed, cannot be produced by effort or willpower or strategic planning. It can only be received. And it arrives not according to the Chronos calendar that you have been watching with increasing desperation, but according to a schedule that is held by the one who sees the full picture of your life from beginning to end and has placed every element of your story in precisely the right sequence for what is coming to be able to arrive with maximum impact and maximum permanence. I want you to hear this, chosen one, and I want you to let it settle into the place in you that has been measuring your life against a Chronos timeline and finding yourself wanting. You are not behind. You have never been behind. You have been living in Chronos time, but operating under a Kairos assignment. And the mismatch between those two frameworks has been the source of so much of your pain. The world around you has been measuring your life by the clock, by the calendar, by the social comparison of who has what at what age. And you have, at least partially, been measuring yourself by those same metrics, and finding the gap between where you are and where you thought you would be by now, a source of frown, shame, and self-doubt. But Kairos does not care about those metrics. Kairos is not interested in what the clock says. Kairos is only interested in readiness. And the question that Kairos asks is not how long has it been, but is the person ready? Is the ground prepared? Is the vessel strong enough to hold what is about to be poured into it without breaking under the weight? The answer to that question, the answer that heaven has been working toward through every year of your waiting, through every experience that refined you, and every relationship that shaped you, and every disappointment that deepened you, the answer is becoming yes. The Kairos moment for your life is not decades away. It is not even years away in the way it once was. The preparation is converging. The readiness is approaching. And what Chronos has been counting as delay, Kairos has been counting as completion. This is not a reward for effort. I want to be clear about that, because the chosen ones are often high-achieving, deeply conscientious people who are prone to turning even spiritual truth into a performance metric. The Kairos moment does not arrive because you worked hard enough, or prayed enough, or were faithful enough in a way that earned it. It arrives because it was appointed, because it was set, because before you were formed, before the circumstances of your life took the shape they took, there was a time that was marked for you. A Kairos moment with your name on it, and no amount of opposition, no closed door, no season of wilderness, no betrayal, no delay, not even the accumulated weight of years that looked like nothing was happening. None of it has been able to move that appointment. It is fixed, and you are moving toward it, not because of what you have done, but because of what you were chosen for. Now I want to give you the second word, and this one comes not from Greek philosophy, but from the ancient Hebrew, the language of the Psalms, the language in which some of the most honest, most anguished, and most ultimately triumphant prayers ever recorded were first spoken. The Hebrew word is kava. In most English translations of the Hebrew scriptures, this word is rendered as wait. Wait upon the Lord. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. You have probably heard that translation. You may have held on to it during hard seasons, but the translation wait, while not wrong, does not capture the full texture of what kava actually means. And when you understand what kava actually means, the instruction to wait upon the Lord becomes something entirely different from passive endurance. Kava means to braid, to twist together, to intertwine multiple strands into a single cord that is stronger than any of the individual strands could be alone. The image behind kava is the image of a rope being made. The rope maker takes individual fibers, each one fragile enough to snap under minimal tension, and twists them together with careful, deliberate, sustained pressure until what emerges is something that can bear tremendous weight. The process requires time. It cannot be rushed without weakening the result. Each strand must be properly tensioned. Each twist must be set before the next one is added. In the finished rope, the completed cord is qualitatively different from the sum of its parts. It is not just stronger. It is a different kind of thing entirely. This is what has been happening to you in your waiting season. This is what kava names that the English word wait completely misses. You have not been sitting passively in a holding pattern, waiting for something external to move so that your life can finally begin. You have been in a braiding process. The individual strands of your life, your gifts, your experiences, your wounds, your wisdom, your relationships, your failures, your faithfulness, your grief, your hope, all of it has been under the careful, deliberate, sustained pressure of a divine process that is weaving those strands together into something that has a tensile strength that none of those individual elements could have produced on their own. The waiting has not been inactivity. It has been construction. And what is being constructed is you, the version of you that is strong enough, integrated enough, resilient enough, and complete enough to carry the weight of what is coming without being broken by it. I want you to feel the difference between those two framings. In the first framing, you have been waiting, passive, delayed, behind, forgotten, stuck. In the second framing, you have been being braided, actively shaped, deliberately formed, carefully assembled, prepared with a precision that reflects the magnitude of what you are being prepared for. The process has been the same in both framings. The circumstances have been the same. The years have been the same. What changes is the meaning, and meaning changes everything. Because a person who understands themselves to be in a braiding process does not feel abandoned. They feel tended to. They do not feel delayed. They feel assembled. They do not feel like the exception to the promise. They feel like the promise is being honored with a level of care and attention that ordinary timelines could never have produced. You are not delayed, chosen one. You are being assembled. And the chord that is emerging from this process is unlike anything that a shorter, easier, more comfortable season could have produced. The strength you carry is not accidental. It is the direct result of the pressure that was applied to the strands of your life over years of sustained and sometimes agonizing formation. And what God is braiding together in you, He is not braiding together carelessly or without purpose. He is braiding it with the specific requirements of your assignment in mind. The cord is being made to fit the load, and the load you were made to carry is not a small one. Now I want to bring these two concepts together, kairos and kava, because together they tell a complete story about where you are and what is coming. You have been in kava, in the braiding process, being assembled strand by strand into the person your assignment requires. And you are approaching your kairos, the appointed moment when the assembled cord of your life meets the specific weight it was made to bear, and something that looked like ordinary circumstances is suddenly and permanently transformed into the fulfillment of the promise that has been held in trust for you since before you were born. The hour of revelation is coming for you, and I want you to understand what that phrase means in the fullness of its ancient weight. The hour of revelation is not just the moment when good things happen. It is the moment when the meaning of everything that came before it is finally made visible. It is the moment when you understand, not just intellectually, but in your bones, why the wilderness was necessary, why the betrayal happened when it did, why the door stayed closed for as long as it did, why the specific people who were in your life, and why the specific ones who left had to leave. The hour of revelation is the moment when the whole story becomes legible, when the chapters that looked like mistakes reveal themselves as the most essential chapters in the arc, when the seasons that felt like punishment are understood, finally and completely, as the seasons of the most precise and loving preparation. And here is what the hour of revelation does to the people who were watching you struggle. It does not just vindicate you, it instructs them. It shows them something about the nature of divine investment that they had no framework for before. They watched you go through the wilderness, and they made their assessments. They drew their conclusions. They moved on. And now they are going to watch the hour of revelation arrive in your life. And those assessments are going to be dismantled one by one. Not to humiliate them, though the feeling of vindication is real and valid, and you are allowed to feel it, but to show them, through your life, that there is a kind of story that the world does not know how to read while it is still being written. A kind of person whose value is not legible in the middle chapters. A kind of assignment that looks like failure right up until the moment it looks like everything. The final pain had a name all along. And the name is calling. The last thing that felt like it was ending you was in fact the last thing that was completing you. And now the hour of revelation is at the door. And the people who wrote you off are beginning to feel something they did not plan to feel. And what is appointed for your life cannot be given to anyone else, cannot be moved to a different timeline, cannot be canceled by any force that has ever come against you. What God has ordained, delay cannot cancel, and the delay is ending. The kairos is arriving. The braiding is almost complete, and the cord that has been assembled through your years of kava is about to bear the weight it was always made to carry. Something is moving. I want you to feel that before I say anything else, because there are moments in a message like this one where the words being spoken are not just information being transferred from one person to another, but are actually landing in a place inside the listener that is deeper than the intellect, deeper than the reasoning mind, deeper than the part of you that evaluates and analyzes and decides whether to believe. There is a place inside you right now that already knows what I am about to say before I say it. A place that has been quietly sensing a shift for weeks or maybe months. A place that has been noticing small things, a different quality to the mornings, a lighter feeling after years of heaviness, a sense that something is loosening that has been tightly bound for a very long time. That place is not your imagination. That place is your spirit, and your spirit has already begun to receive what your mind is only now catching up to. Something is moving, and it is moving specifically toward you, specifically in the 3 areas of your life that have carried the most weight during this long season of waiting. I want to describe what is coming in concrete, specific terms, because the chosen ones have heard enough vague encouragement. You have heard enough about blessings being on the way and seasons turning and doors opening without anyone being willing to sit with you long enough to describe what that actually looks like in the texture of a real human life. So I am going to be specific. I am going to describe what is about to change. I am going to describe the emotions you are likely to feel as it changes. And I am going to tell you what not to do during this period, because the transition from one season to the next is a delicate time. And there are specific behaviors and postures that can delay or diminish what is coming if you are not warned about them. The first area that is about to shift is the area of purpose. And I want to start here rather than with relationships or resources, because I believe that for the chosen ones, the question of purpose is the deepest question, the one that underlies everything else, the one that when it goes unanswered, makes every other area of life feel hollow, no matter how much good surrounds it. The question you have been carrying, the one that has followed you through every season of your waiting, the question of what you are actually supposed to be doing with your life, and why it has taken so long to become clear. That question is about to answer itself, not through a dramatic vision or a thunderclap moment of sudden revelation, though for some of you it may come with a kind of clarity. For most of you, it will come as something quieter, but no less definitive. It will come as a small, clear step that presents itself to you with a certainty that is completely disproportionate to its size. It will be a conversation you are prompted to have, a door you feel compelled to knock on, a skill you feel drawn to develop, a person you feel directed to reach out to. And the thing about this step is that it will not require you to see the whole staircase. It will only require you to take one step. But that step, that single small step offered with clarity and received with trust, is the step that breaks the logjam. It is the step that sets in motion a sequence of events that your Chronos mind cannot fully anticipate, but that your Kairos spirit has been prepared for. The answer to the question of what you should do is coming. And it is coming in that is small enough to be actionable and specific enough to be unmistakable. What you must not do in the area of purpose during this period is overthink the step when it arrives. The chosen ones are often deep thinkers, and deep thinking is one of your greatest gifts. But it can become the thing that delays you if you allow it to demand a full explanation of the entire plan before you will take the first movement. The step that is coming will not come with a full explanation. It will come with enough light for the next movement and not one step more. And your job is to trust the light that is given rather than to demand the light that has not yet been released. When purpose speaks in this season, it speaks quietly, and it speaks specifically, and it speaks once. And the chosen ones who miss it are almost always the ones who were waiting for it to be louder or larger or more thoroughly justified before they would move. When you feel the step, take it. That is the only instruction for the area of purpose in this season. The second area that is about to shift is the area of relationships. And this one I want to handle with particular care, because it is the area where the transition can feel the most destabilizing, even when it is entirely and completely in your favor. What you are going to notice first in this area is not addition but subtraction. Some people who have been in your life, people who have been fixtures in your world for a long time, are going to continue the process of moving away. Some of them will do it gracefully, and some of them will do it with a kind of friction that feels like rejection, even when it is not. And when it happens, even if you have been sensing it was coming, even if part of you has known for a while that certain connections were not built for the season you are entering, the loss is going to sting, because loss stings. Even when it is the right loss, even when the departure is a mercy, even when the space it creates is exactly what was needed for what is coming next. What is coming next in the area of relationships is this: new people are going to begin appearing at precisely the right times, in precisely the right places, with precisely the right connection to what you have been building in the hidden season of your life. These will not be casual acquaintances. These will be people who recognize something in you immediately, who speak a language that you thought only you understood, who carry a complementary piece of the assignment to the piece that you carry, who feel, within a very short time of knowing you, less like new friends and more like people you have always known. These connections will not require the kind of sustained convincing and explaining and justifying of yourself that your previous relationships have so often required. They will be easy in the specific way that divine connections are easy, not easy as in without depth or without challenge, but easy as in without the constant friction of being misunderstood or underestimated, or having to translate yourself into a smaller version just to be received. What you must not do in the area of relationships during this transition is hold on to what is leaving with the same grip that you extend toward what is arriving. The temptation to cling to what is familiar, even when it no longer fits, is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. We are wired for attachment, and we are wired to interpret departure as rejection, even when it is actually redirection. When someone or something begins to move out of your life in this season, practice the posture of open hands. Not indifference, not coldness, not the pretense that it does not hurt, but the deliberate, faith-based decision to release what is leaving without bitterness and without the desperate grasping that keeps you anchored to a chapter that has already ended. The people who are coming cannot fully arrive while your hands and your heart are still full of what has been asked to leave. Make room. Trust the process of subtraction as much as you trust the promise of addition. Both are working on your behalf. The third area that is about to shift is the area of resources and opportunities. And this is the area where I want to be the most careful, because the chosen ones have often been hurt in this area in specific and compounding ways. And the last thing I want to do is add another layer of disappointment if I speak carelessly about what is coming. So let me be precise. What is about to change in the area of resources and opportunities is not primarily the volume of what is available to you, though that will change too. What is changing first is your relationship to the pursuit of what belongs to you. For years, many of you have been in a mode of striving that has had a particular quality to it. The quality of fighting for things that should not require that level of fight, of pushing against resistance that should not be there, of working twice as hard as the people around you for half the recognition and half the return. That exhausting, demoralizing, relentless quality of striving. Sense that you are always one step behind no matter how fast you move, that is about to change. Not because you are going to stop working or stop showing up or stop bringing your best, but because the alignment between your effort and your outcome is shifting. What you do is going to begin to land differently. The same quality of work that previously went unnoticed is going to begin to be seen. The same character that previously went unrewarded is going to begin to attract the recognition it deserved all along. And opportunities that you could not have manufactured through any amount of networking or striving or positioning are going to begin presenting themselves through the natural overflow of what you have been building in the hidden season. What you must not do in the area of resources and opportunities during this transition is immediately revert to the striving posture the moment you see the first signs of movement. The temptation, after years of fighting for everything, is to grip even tighter when something good finally appears, to overwork it, to over-explain it, to push it harder than it needs to be pushed, because the old fear says that if you ease up even slightly, it will disappear the way everything else has. But what is coming in this area is not fragile in that way. It is appointed, and appointed things do not require the same quality of striving that unaligned things require. You are not going to have to fight your way into what belongs to you. You are going to have to be present, be ready, be open, and be willing to receive what is extended to you without immediately second-guessing whether you deserve it. Receiving is a skill, and for the chosen ones who have spent years in the posture of striving, learning to receive, to simply say yes, and thank you, and I am ready, can be harder than any amount of effort that was required in the previous season. Practice receiving. Practice saying yes to what arrives without immediately looking for the catch. Practice the posture of someone who knows that what is theirs is coming. Not because they earned it through enough effort, but because it was appointed, and the appointed time has arrived. I want to speak for a moment to the emotions you are likely to feel as these three areas begin to shift, because forewarned is forearmed, and I do not want you to be destabilized by the feelings that accompany breakthrough when they are not what you expected. The first emotion you may feel when things begin to move is not joy. It is often fear, a sudden, unexpected anxiety about whether this is real, whether it is going to last, whether you are ready, whether something is going to go wrong at the last moment the way it seems to have gone wrong so many times before. That fear is not a sign that something is wrong. It is the nervous system of a person who has been in survival mode for a long time suddenly encountering conditions of safety and abundance that it does not yet have the wiring to accept as permanent. Do not let the fear convince you that the breakthrough is not real. Let the fear be present and move through it and keep going. The second emotion you may feel is grief, which seems paradoxical in a season of breakthrough, but is actually very common among the chosen ones. As things shift and the long season begins to lift, there can be a wave of sadness about all the years that it took to get here. A grief for the younger version of you who waited so long and worked so hard and believed so persistently through so much. Let that grief come. Let it be honored. It does not contradict the gratitude. Both are true. And the chosen one who allows themselves to grieve the journey even as they celebrate the arrival is the one who walks into the new season with their whole heart intact rather than with a part of themselves still locked back in the pain that they never fully processed. If you can feel something shifting as you hear these words, if something in your spirit is recognizing what I am describing, if there is a part of you that knows, not hopes but knows, that you are standing at the edge of the change I have been describing, I want you to type the word I receive in the comments right now. Not as a transaction, not as a formula, but as a declaration from your own mouth, in your own voice, even if it is only your typed voice, that you are open, you are ready, and you are choosing to receive what has been appointed for this season of your life. Type I receive, and let it be the beginning of the posture that carries you through everything that comes next. You are still here, and I do not want to pass over that too quickly, because the fact that you have stayed through everything I have shared in this message is not a small thing. It is actually one of the most telling signs of who you are and what you carry. Most people do not stay. Most people skim the surface of things, take what is comfortable and familiar, and move on before the deeper layers have a chance to reach them. But you stayed. Through the naming of the pain, through the grief that was acknowledged without being bypassed, through the science and the ancient language, and the three areas of coming change, you stayed. And that staying, that willingness to be present with the full weight and the full hope of what has been spoken here today, is itself a form of the anointing I have been describing. The chosen ones are the ones who stay when everything in the comfortable, distracted, surface-level world is inviting them to leave. And because you stayed, I want to give you something that I save for the people who make it to this place in the message. I want to give you a name, not a name that replaces the one you were given at birth, but a name for the version of you that has been emerging through everything this season has required of you. A name for the self that has been assembled through the braiding process I described, the self that is standing at the threshold of the Kairos moment that is approaching, the self that has survived what was sent to destroy it and arrived here, still intact, still believing, still open to receive. The name I want to give you today is this: you are a wound breaker. I want to explain what that means, because it is not a casual title, and it does not belong to everyone. A wound breaker is a specific kind of person with a specific kind of assignment that goes far beyond their own individual life. A wound breaker is someone who has been placed at the end of a long line of pain, a lineage of hurt that has been passed down through generations, through families, through communities, through cultural patterns that have repeated themselves for so long that most people have stopped questioning whether they could ever be different. The wound that a wound breaker carries is not only their own wound, it is the accumulated wound of everyone who came before them, who did not have the tools or the awareness or the spiritual positioning to stop the pattern and start something new. And the wound breaker, through their own journey of refinement and preparation and long endurance, has been equipped with precisely the combination of insight, compassion, resilience, and spiritual authority needed to do what no one before them in their line was able to do. They break the wound. They stop the pattern. They become the first person in their lineage, their community, their sphere of influence, to walk in a wholeness that redefines what is possible for everyone who comes after them. This applies to you. The things you have endured in this season are not just your personal story. They are the culmination of a much longer story that was building toward you. The rejection, the isolation, the long waiting, the opposition that seemed disproportionate to anything you had done. None of that was random, and none of it was merely personal. You were being prepared to break something that has been unbroken for a very long time. And the authority you carry to break it comes directly from the fact that you have walked through it yourself. That you have not been speaking about the wound from a comfortable distance, but from the inside of it. And that you have come out the other side with something that neither denial nor bitterness could have produced. You have come out with understanding, with capacity, with the specific kind of compassion that can only be born from having personally survived what you are now being sent to address in others. A wound breaker does not announce themselves. They do not require recognition or a platform or a title before they begin doing the work they were made to do. They simply begin. They begin in the smallest, most ordinary interactions of their daily life. They begin by responding differently than the wound would have them respond. They begin by choosing, in one specific moment at a time, the pattern of wholeness over the pattern of pain. And every time they make that choice, something shifts not just in their own life, but in the lives of everyone connected to them. The ripple of a wound breaker's healing is not contained to their own story. It moves outward through relationships, through families, through communities, in ways that the wound breaker themselves may never fully see or measure. But heaven sees it. And the assignment of the wound breaker is one of the most sacred and most consequential assignments that a chosen one can carry. You are a wound breaker, and the wound you were placed here to break is already beginning to respond to the authority that has been built in you through this long season. You do not have to know exactly how that breaking will happen. You only have to be who you have become. The rest is already in motion. Now I want to do something with you that I want you to participate in fully, not as an observer, but as an active participant. I want to guide you through a visualization, and I want you to follow it with your eyes closed if you are in a place where you can do that, or with your full inner attention if you cannot. This is not a performance. This is a practice of seeing, and seeing clearly is one of the most powerful things a chosen one can do in the threshold season. Picture yourself standing at a threshold. It is a doorway, real and solid, and full of presence, and you are standing directly in front of it. The doorway is neither grand nor ordinary. It is simply exactly right size for you, as if it was built with your specific dimensions in mind, your height, your width, the particular shape of your presence in the world. The wood of the frame has warmth in it, the kind of warmth that comes from something that has been waiting with patience, rather than with tension. And you are standing just before it, close enough to feel the change in the air that is coming through from the other side. Now I want you to turn and look back, not with regret, but with the clear eyes of someone who is finally far enough from the journey to see its full shape. Look at the road you have traveled to arrive at this threshold. Look at the terrain of it, the long, flat stretches where nothing seemed to be happening, the steep descents into valleys that felt like they would never end, the unexpected detours, the moments where the path disappeared entirely and you had to feel your way forward in the dark. without being certain there was solid ground under the next step. Look at all of it, and notice something that you could not see while you were inside it. Every single stretch of that road, even the ones that felt like wrong turns, even the ones that felt like punishment, every single stretch led here, to this exact spot, to this exact threshold. There was not one wasted mile. There was not one detour that took you further from where you were supposed to be. Every step of that road, including the steps you are most ashamed of, the steps you made in fear or in weakness or in exhaustion, every single one of them brought you precisely, specifically, and irreversibly to this door. Now turn back toward the threshold. Turn your face toward what is ahead. You cannot see everything that is on the other side, and that is appropriate, because what is on the other side is larger than what your current field of vision can contain. But you can feel it. You can feel the quality of the air that is coming through from the other side, and it is different from the air behind you. It carries something, a lightness that is not fragile but strong, a clarity that does not demand anything from you, but simply is. A warmth that is not the warmth of earned comfort, but the warmth of homecoming, the particular warmth of arriving in a place that has been prepared for you. And now I want you to notice something that is perhaps the most important thing in this entire visualization. Notice where your feet are. They are not behind the threshold. They are not on the far side of it, looking back. Your feet are right here, right at the edge, right at the exact line where the old territory meets the new. You are not approaching the threshold from a distance. You are not trying to figure out how to get there someday. You are already standing at it. The arrival you have been praying for, the turning point you have been reaching toward, the moment when the season shifts, you are not waiting for it to begin. You are standing inside it right now. This moment, this message, this breath, this decision to stay and listen and receive, this is the threshold, and the step that crosses it is not a dramatic leap. It is one ordinary, faith-filled step forward, the kind of step that chosen ones make every single day, not because they can see everything that is ahead, but because they know the one who does. You are already standing at the threshold, beloved wound breaker. The journey that brought you here is complete. The season that formed you is fulfilling its purpose, and the door that has your name on it is not locked. It is not waiting for you to earn your way through it. It is standing open, held open by the same hands that held you through everything that came before this moment, and it is asking only one thing of you. It is asking you to step through. Now I want to speak a blessing over you. Not a formulaic blessing, not a religious performance, but a specific and personal word spoken over the specific and personal person who has stayed through this entire message. May the clarity that has been building in you during this season become undeniable in the days ahead. May the relationships that are moving toward you recognize you quickly, and may you recognize them without hesitation. May the purpose that has been forming in the hidden season of your life step into the light with a grace and a confidence that surprises even you. May the wound that you were placed here to break respond to your presence with the surrender that has been ordained for this appointed time. May the opposition that has surrounded you discover that it has been outmaneuvered by a love that is older and stronger and more persistent than anything it could have assembled against you. May the people who wrote you off have a front row seat to what you are becoming, not so that you can triumph over them, but so that they can be instructed by the God who chose you. And may you walk across this threshold and every threshold that follows it with the settled, unshakable, unhurried confidence of someone who knows beyond all doubt that they are exactly where they are supposed to be, doing exactly what they were made to do in exactly the right time. You are seen, you are held, you are chosen, and the best of your story is not behind you. It has been waiting for you at the threshold, and you are already there. Standing at the threshold is not the same as crossing it. And I want to be very honest with you about that distinction, because one of the patterns I have observed in the chosen ones is a tendency to receive a word, to feel the truth of it deeply, to be genuinely moved by it, and then to return to the same posture of passive waiting that the word was designed to interrupt. The visualization I led you through in the previous part of this message was not meant to be a destination. It was meant to be an orientation, a way of helping you see where you actually are so that you can make the decisions that correspond to your actual location rather than the decisions of someone who is still lost in the middle of the wilderness. You are at the threshold, and the threshold requires action. Not frantic, fear-driven, compensatory action, but clear, deliberate, faith-aligned action that says with your hands and your feet what your spirit has already been saying with its knowing. So I want to get practical with you right now. I want to talk about what you can actually do today, not someday, not when you feel more ready, not when the circumstances are more favorable, but today, in the specific life you are living, in the specific season you are in, to cooperate with what is already moving towards you in the 3 areas I described in the previous section. Because cooperation is not passivity and it is not striving. It is the intelligent, attentive, responsive posture of someone who understands that what is coming is real and that their participation in its arrival matters. The first area is relationships, and the practical action I want to give you for this area is this. Today, reach out to one person who has been on your mind. Not a long list of people, not a networking campaign. One person. The person whose name or face has come to you repeatedly in recent days or weeks without an obvious reason. The person you have been thinking about but have not contacted because it felt awkward or premature or because you were not sure what you would say. That repeated thought, that recurring name or face, is not random. The chosen ones receive their relational direction through exactly this kind of quiet, persistent nudge, and most of the time they rationalize it away rather than respond to it. Today, respond to it. Send a message. Make a call. Keep it simple. You do not need a grand reason or a carefully constructed opening. You only need to reach out and let the connection begin. What happens after that is not yours to manage. Your job is the first step. The unfolding of what that step sets in motion belongs to something larger than your planning. At the same time, I want to give you a releasing action for this area. Think of one relationship in your life that you have been holding on to past its natural ending, not out of genuine connection, but out of fear of what the space would feel like without it. A relationship that has been more draining than life-giving, more confusing than clarifying, more about your fear of being alone than about genuine mutual investment. I am not telling you to end it dramatically or to make any sudden decisions. I am inviting you to simply acknowledge it honestly, to stop pretending that it is something it is not, and to begin gently and without bitterness, to loosen your grip on it. Loosening your grip is not the same as throwing something away. It is simply making room in your hands for what is coming to be received fully when it arrives. The reaching and the releasing are both acts of faith. Both are practical. Both can begin today. The second area is purpose, and the practical action here is perhaps the simplest and the most challenging thing I will ask you to do in this entire message. I want you to write down the one thing that keeps coming back to you, the thing that you return to when you allow yourself to think without the filter of what is realistic or what is expected of you, or what the people in your life would think if they knew you still believed in it. The dream that has refused to die despite years of evidence that it should have. The vision that persists in showing up even when you have tried to be sensible about it and let it go. The thing that when someone else is doing it or talking about it, something inside you responds with a recognition that is deeper than envy. A recognition that says that belongs to my world, that is connected to what I am here for. Write it down. One sentence, not a business plan, not a 5-year strategy. One honest sentence that names the thing without apology and without qualification. Because there is something that happens when the thing that has only lived inside you in thought and feeling is given a physical form. Even the simple physical form of words on a page. It becomes real in a different way. It crosses a threshold of its own, from the internal to the external, from the private to the witnessed. Even if the only witness is you. And that act of writing it down is the beginning of treating it as real, which is the beginning of treating yourself as someone whose vision deserves to be taken seriously, which is the beginning of the posture that allows the purpose to step out of the hidden season and into the open one. After you write it down, I want you to do one thing in the direction of it today. Not a big thing, not a thing that requires resources you do not have or connections you have not yet made. One small thing. Research something related to it. Contact someone who is already doing something adjacent to it. Set aside 30 minutes to work on a skill that connects to it. The step does not have to be impressive. It has to be honest, and it has to be in the right direction, because direction matters more than speed in this season. The chosen one who takes one small, honest, directionally correct step every day will cover more ground than the one who waits for the perfect conditions to make the grand gesture. Begin small, begin honest, begin today. The third area is resources and opportunities. And the practical action here is one that might surprise you, because it is not about acquiring more or doing more or positioning yourself more strategically. The practical action for resources and opportunities in this season is to audit what you already have, to take honest stock of the gifts, the skills, the experiences, the relationships, the knowledge, the hard-won wisdom that you are currently carrying and that you may have been undervaluing. Because the season of scarcity trained you to see yourself through the lens of what you lack, rather than the lens of what you hold. Chosen ones are almost universally guilty of this. The very depth and sensitivity that makes them capable of carrying a significant assignment also makes them acutely aware of their own gaps and blind spots, and that acute self-awareness, which is a gift in appropriate measure, can become a distortion when it tips into a persistent focus on inadequacy. You have been so aware of what you do not have, what you have not yet become, what you have not yet achieved, that you may have completely lost sight of the extraordinary accumulation of capacity that the long season has built in you. The resilience, the depth of character, the ability to endure without breaking, the compassion that comes from having suffered, the discernment that comes from having been deceived, the faith that comes from having had every external support stripped away and having found that something in you held anyway. These are not small things. These are the raw materials of significant impact, and the opportunities that are beginning to move toward you are moving toward you specifically because of what you carry, not in spite of your history, but because of it. So the audit I am inviting you to do is this: take a piece of paper, or open a document, or simply sit with yourself in the quiet of the threshold practice and name what you carry, not what you wish you had, not what you are working toward, what you have right now, in this body, in this life, in this season. that is of genuine value. Write it down without immediately dismissing each item as not enough, or not impressive enough, or not the right kind. Just name it, all of it. The skill you have, developed through years of quiet practice. The insight you carry about human pain because you have lived inside it. The ability to hold space for other people in their hardest moments because someone held space for you in yours. The tenacity that has kept you here, still believing, still showing up, still receiving messages like this one, because something in you refuses to give up on the promise. Name all of it, because the opportunities that are coming are looking for someone who carries exactly what you carry. And you cannot offer what you have not first acknowledged that you possess. There is one more thing I want to address in this section, and it is something that applies across all three areas. It is the question of timing, and specifically the question of what to do when the movement begins but feels slower than you expected or more ordinary than you imagined. Because one of the greatest dangers for chosen ones in the threshold season is the temptation to dismiss the early signs of breakthrough because they do not arrive in the form that was expected. The new relationship that is being sent to you might not look immediately like the transformative connection it is destined to become. The first step of purpose that presents itself might feel too small to be taken seriously. The resource or opportunity that begins to appear might seem modest compared to the magnitude of what you have been waiting for. Do not let the ordinariness of the first signs convince you that the extraordinary is not underway. Heaven rarely announces its movements with fanfare at the beginning. It announces them with small, quiet, easy-to-miss moments of alignment that reward the attentive and pass unnoticed by the distracted. One who is paying attention, who is practicing the threshold practice daily, who is operating in the neurological state that the genius wave is designed to activate, who has done the inner work of the braiding season and arrived at the threshold with open hands and a clear spirit. That chosen one will see the signs, will recognize the first steps, will respond to the quiet nudge with the trust and the action that sets the whole sequence in motion. Pay attention, stay present, take the steps that are offered, release what needs to be released, receive what is extended, audit what you already carry, write down the thing, reach out to the person. Do the one small directionally correct action in the area of purpose. These are not glamorous instructions. They are not the dramatic declarations of someone who has been promised a miraculous intervention that requires nothing of them. They are the practical, grounded, faith-aligned actions of a chosen one who understands that the miracle and the method are not opposites, that heaven moves through willing, attentive, cooperative human beings, and that the most powerful thing you can do right now, today, in the specific life you are living, is to begin behaving like someone who knows their season has changed, because it has. And the world around you is about to find out what you've already been told. We have come a long way together in this message, and before I say anything else, I want to take a moment to do something that I mean with complete sincerity and without any performance attached to it. I want to thank you, not in the casual, reflexive way that people thank audiences at the end of presentations. I want to thank you in the specific personal way that the moment deserves, because I know what it cost you to stay here. I know that for some of you, showing up to a message like this, one required walking past a part of yourself that has been hurt enough times to be deeply suspicious of anything that speaks the language of hope. A part of you that has heard encouraging words before and has watched them fail to change anything, that has been promised seasons of turning that did not turn on the schedule that was described, that has learned through hard and repeated experience to protect itself from the particular pain of believing fully and being disappointed again. And yet, you stayed. You showed up with enough of yourself present to receive what was being spoken. And that showing up, that willingness to be here even with the guardedness, even with the questions, even with the part of you that was not entirely sure it could afford to hope again. That is one of the bravest things a chosen one can do, and I do not take it lightly. I want you to know something that I believe with everything in me, and that I want you to carry with you long after this message has ended. You are not alone in this. I know that the experience of being chosen can be one of the loneliest experiences a person can have, because the very things that set you apart are often the things that make it hard for the people around you to fully understand what you are carrying or why the journey has looked the way it has looked. But loneliness and aloneness are not the same thing. And right now, in this exact moment, as you are receiving these words, there are chosen ones all across the world who are walking into this same message. Some of them are in different countries, in different time zones, in different languages, and different cultural contexts. But they are carrying the same knowing, sitting with the same waiting, feeling the same shift beginning in the same 3 areas of their lives. You are in a room right now that is far more crowded than it looks from the inside of your individual experience. The chosen ones are waking up together. The season is turning for all of them, for all of you, at the same time. And the fact that you found this message, that it found you, that something in you recognized what was being spoken here as true, that is not an accident. It is the confirmation that you belong to this company of people who were set apart for this appointed time. I want to do something with you now before we close. I want to give you a practice, one final practice that I want you to do in the next few minutes, either right now or as soon as you are in a quiet place. It is the practice of laying down the burden. Because I believe that some of you have been carrying things into this threshold that do not belong on the other side of it. Not your gifts, not your calling, not your history, not the wisdom that was forged in the wilderness. All of that comes with you. But there are other things, heavier things, things that were never meant to cross with you, that have been attached to you for so long that you may not even notice the weight of them anymore, because you have simply adjusted your posture to accommodate them. I want you to close your eyes if you can, or simply turn your full attention inward. And I want you to imagine that you are standing once again at the threshold I described earlier. The doorway with the warm frame, the change in the air coming through from the other side, your feet at the exact line between the old territory and the new. And this time I want you to become aware of what you are carrying. Not the internal gifts and qualities, but the external weights. The bitterness toward the people who hurt you that you have been carrying like a stone in your chest. The shame about the years that passed and the things that did not happen on the schedule you had planned. The fear that says even if something good begins, it will be taken away before it can be fully received, because that has been the pattern before. The agreement you made with yourself somewhere in the middle of the hard season that said, maybe I am not the kind of person that good things stay with. The unspoken conviction that you are the exception to the promise, that the word is true for other people, but that your specific situation has too many complications for it to apply cleanly to you. I want you to take all of those things, all of them, and I want you to imagine setting them down, not throwing them away with anger, not pretending they were not real, but simply, gently, deliberately setting them at the threshold and choosing to leave them there, because they are too heavy for where you are going, and where you are going does not require them. The next season of your life does not need your bitterness to navigate it. It does not need your shame to motivate it. It does not need your fear to protect it. It needs you, the clear, open, assembled, anointed version of you that has been emerging through everything this season has required. And it needs you to arrive unburdened enough to receive what is waiting with the full capacity of your open hands and your whole heart. Set it down, all of it, right there at the threshold, and then take the step, the one step, across the line, into what is next. Now I want to speak to you practically for a moment, because there are some things I want to ask of you that come from a genuine place, and that I want to explain honestly rather than just request. If this message has done something for you today, if it has named something that needed naming, if it has given you a word that you have been waiting to hear, if it has shifted something in the way you see your season or yourself or the journey that brought you here, I am asking you to share it. Not because sharing it benefits me in some abstract way, but because there is someone right now in your circle of connection who is walking into their Monday morning without anyone to name what they are carrying for them. Someone who is in the middle of the wilderness without the language to understand what the wilderness is for. Someone whose 2 in the morning is very long and very dark and very quiet, and who would be profoundly reached by this message if it found them. You can be the reason it finds them. One share, one forward, one moment of saying, I heard something today that made me think of you. That is all it takes. And the ripple of that one action is something that neither you nor I will ever be able to fully measure, but that matters in ways that are real and lasting and significant. If this channel has been a consistent source of the kind of word that reaches you in the places that other content does not reach, I want to ask you to subscribe if you have not already, and to like this video so that the platform carries it further than it would otherwise go. These are small actions that cost you almost nothing and that have a compounding effect on how many chosen ones this message is able to reach. And if you feel moved to support this work financially, there is a way to do that, and the link is available for those who are led to use it. I want to be clear that this is not an obligation, and it is not a transaction. There is no amount of financial support that earns you a better outcome or a more powerful anointing. But if you have received something of genuine value here today, and you want to participate in the continuation of this work so that more messages like this one can be made and more chosen ones can be reached by them, then your generosity is genuinely welcomed and genuinely appreciated. Not for me, so that the next person who is carrying what you have been carrying can find a message that names it for them the way this one named it for you. And if the genius wave found you somewhere in the middle of this message, if the section about brainwave frequencies and the science of how the chosen ones are neurologically primed for the states that produce extraordinary results, if that section landed in you as more than information, if it landed as a recognition, a yes, a this is what I have been missing, if you know in the way that chosen ones know things that this is a tool that belongs in your daily practice as you walk into the new season that is opening before you, then it is waiting for you in the pinned comment below this video. The link is there. The 90-day guarantee is in place. The $39 access price is available for now. And if your spirit said yes to it during this message, I want to encourage you to honor that yes, because the chosen ones are learning in this season to trust the quiet knowing and to act on it rather than to rationalize it away. The genius wave is not a magic solution, but it is a precision tool built on 30 years of research, designed to consistently bring your frequency where your highest clarity clarity, and your deepest knowing, and your most aligned decision-making all become available to you every single day. And a chosen one walking into their appointed time deserves every resource that can support the clarity of that crossing. I want to close this message in the way that I believe it deserves to be closed, not with a summary, not with a list of takeaways, not with a final sales push or a dramatic declaration. I want to close it with something quieter than all of that, something that I hope you will carry with you long after you have forgotten the specific words I used and the specific concepts I introduced and even the specific emotions this message produced in you. I want to close it with the simple truth that has been underneath every single thing that was spoken here today. The truth that is older than any language we use to describe it and larger than any framework we use to contain it. You were chosen before you understood what that meant. You were held through every season where it felt like you were not. You were being formed in every moment that felt like you were simply being forgotten. And the anointing on your life is not diminished by the years of opposition. It has been confirmed by them. The forces that were sent against you could not touch what was placed inside you. And in trying and failing to destroy your assignment, they became, without their own knowledge or consent, the reluctant guardians of the very thing they sought to end. The people who counted you out are beginning to understand what they missed. And what they missed is not almost ready. What they missed is already here.